Hello, how are you? How are you? The topic we are going to talk about today is risk engineering per se. Is risk engineering per se? It is a topic. It's a weird sounding name. It can be many things or it can be very few things. What is risk engineering? Well, basically it's the branch of engineering that is dedicated to identify physical risks. We don't get into financial risk, cyber risk, reputational risk, social risk, and so on. We basically look at physical risk. Why is it useful to know what physical risks? What physical risks is a business exposed to? Well, basically, it's useful for everybody, but the most useful for whom it is, and usually the one we work with the most, are the reinsurers. As you know, reinsurers, well, basically, they are the biggest risk takers in the industry, since reinsurers often take a very large portion of the risk from the insurers. In fact, reinsurers call insurers sedentary insurers because they usually cede a significant portion of the risk to them. So we, as risk engineers, are usually hired by a reinsurer. It can also be a reinsurance broker or an insurer, or by an insurance company. They are getting bigger and bigger and they retain more and more important parts of the risk. They hire us to go and inspect the risks that they are going to take on and tell them basically how they are doing. It's not a matter of telling them if they are pretty or ugly or painted or unpainted. It's basically about telling them first how exposed they are. All businesses have a natural exposure. What is exposure? Well, how vulnerable you are to a particular damage trigger. What are these damage triggers? They are an earthquake, a hurricane, a fire, the breakdown of machinery, which is what it is called in the media, but it is really when it breaks down, explodes, breakdown, explosion, and fire of a machine. But well then, all these detonators have a potential. They can potentially do damage to assets. First to the environment, then to people, then to assets, and then to a customer's business per se, of a customer. So you call us, you tell us how the risks are, we go, we do this diagnosis, and we tell you how the risks are. This is one of the branches, which I did not say at the beginning, and I should have said it, of risk engineering, which is a branch called risk control. But there is another branch called claims. What does a risk engineer do in claims, which is in English as a claim is called? Well, basically, first we determine the cause. Once we know the cause, we determine whether or not to pay. Subsequently, we analyze the damages and we normally group them into three groups. One group is total losses, another group is equipment or goods with no damage, and another group is repairable goods, our repairable assets. And we don't just leave the analysis there to physical damage. The last part of a risk engineer's job at claims is to quantify these damages financially quantify these damages. That is, how much the machine that was damaged is worth, etc. And that is a little bit, roughly speaking, we will go into more detail later, but roughly speaking, that is basically the work of risk engineering, mainly focused on physical risk and mainly focused on reinsurance. So, well, I hope you like this little capsule. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue generating content. Thank you.